are here today with banjo ace Charlie Cushman. Charlie's been on the forefront of the Nashville bluegrass and banjo scene for a long time. He's played with artists such as Gill and Ricky Skaggs, Mike Snyder, and the Big Mon himself.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie, tell us how you got started playing.
Well, Erica, I got started when I was about 4 years old as a little kid, fascinated by the modern wonder of the day, television. You know, watching television, and all of a sudden there's Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs playing their country music. And that happened on Saturday afternoons. Their show happened on Saturday afternoons alongside other artists like Ernest Tubb and the country artists of the day like Farron Young, the Wilburn Brothers. And as a kid, you know, my ears perked up when I heard Earl Scruggs' banjo in comparison to the slow ballads and things that the Wilburn Brothers did. And so Earl Scruggs really stood out to me, and I developed a want for the banjo immediately. And I hassled my parents and my grandparents until they finally bought me one.
That's great.
So that's how I got started. Yes, I took lessons at a music store in my hometown, and the first thing we did after securing a teacher was he wanted to get a book to go by. So we got a Mel Bay book. I think it was called Fun with the Banjo, and we started playing actually with a flat pick. And after a few lessons, you know, I told him, I said, I want to do the three-finger style banjo like Earl Scruggs. And he said, well, I can do that. He said, I know a few tunes. So we got another Mel Bay book, which these days you don't see this book any. It's a very rare book. It's a book that Sonny Osborne was commissioned to put together for Mel Bay back in the late 50s, early 60s. So we're talking 1966 or 67 was when I started taking lessons. So we took out of the Mel Bay Fun with the Banjo book, and then we took out of the Sonny Osborne Mel Bay book. Okay, I'd like to show you an ending lick, or you can also use this for a fill lick. It's out of the D position that you'll find in your Mel Bay book. What that is two pull-offs. You hit your first string, pull off from the 4th, 3rd to the 2nd fret. Play the 2nd string, 3rd fret. Then do a pull off on your 3rd string, 4th fret, back to 2nd. Like that.
Well, Charlie, you've worked with so many artists over your career. Tell us about some of these interesting people.
Well, I guess I'd have to start with probably most recently Vince Gill, Michael Martin Murphey, Joe Diffie, Mel Tillis, Bill Monroe, Jimmy Martin, James Monroe. You know, I've had an opportunity that a lot of banjo players haven't had, you know, to work with so many artists here in Nashville. And Ricky Skaggs, of course, I've been subbing for in Ricky's band for about 20 years now. Wow. Ever since he started playing the bluegrass stuff. And back when he had Mark Pruitt working for him, I would sub because these other guys live in different states. So when Ricky does the opera, he will give me or some of the other guys a call. So I've had some long-running accounts and some very recent ones to start up that I'm really tickled to be a part of.
Well, tell us about this beautiful instrument you're holding right now.
Okay, well, this is a new product that's being put out by a company called American Made Banjo, in which they pride themselves in using all American made parts, American grown hardwood, of course. And this is the Charlie Cushman model. It's very reminiscent of their pre-war style 10, KK10 that they made back in the 30s. Of course, Gibson Company made those banjos for Kel Croydon. And Tom Mirasola asked me to design a banjo for him, so I took some of my favorite components like Honduras mahogany, the gold plating, ebony fingerboard. This inlay design is an original Kel Croydon inlay design. The headstock is an original style 10 design from that company also. And I did design the engraving on it. And it made a really interesting looking banjo, but more importantly, a very responsive banjo, so you can it makes your job a little bit easier. And these are built by Robin Smith over in Hendersonville for AMB. I'm a bit of a guitar player, and I'm very much a novice when it comes to this particular style of guitar. This is a 1937 Gibson L5. It's an L5 Advanced, actually. And I've always been a fan of the cowboy songs and more so the jazz era, the jazz swing era. And I'm learning some new chords. Of course, there's the way those guys play, they change chords every beat. And I'm very much a beginner at this, but I'll play a couple of licks on here.
I understand that you worked for Gibson and Groom Guitars setting up banjos, and now you are doing this on your own. Tell us a little bit about this process.
Right, yes, I had the pleasure of working for Gibson a couple of years, and alongside George Gruen, and got to see a lot of really nice vintage instruments. And I am doing banjo setup at my home now. So things work out better for me that way. I can come downstairs, get my coffee, go back upstairs, go to work, and I meet a lot of nice people that way too, and see a lot of good instruments too. One component of a good banjo setup is for the head to be tight. And what I'd like to show you is how to recognize the note your head is tightened to. I do this by muting the strings with the left hand, and then take the thumb on the right hand, break across the head, and you can hear that note, which happens to be A. Mahogany banjos tend to run A, and maple banjos tend to run G sharp to A. And I'd also like to mention that my friend Johnny Warren and I have a new album out as a tribute to his father Paul. This is on CD. We're in the April edition of Bluegrass Unlimited this month. And then I have an instrumental CD, Charlie Cushman 5-string time, with all your favorite Skaggs style instrumentals.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today and inviting us into your beautiful home. We've really learned a lot.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and it's my pleasure.